Welcome to the President Sunday show, where everything is technically figured out during the episode, and I never do any pre-prep.
Here for it.
So, yeah, you were in the chat. You wanted to come on and say something. What's up?
I know. So I had like an epiphany last night.
Yeah.
I had a vision. All was revealed to me. The smoke was lifted. And it was conveniently shortly after talking to Quiman and Justical. And then so Stardust was asked by somebody to like summarize essentially like all the shit that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And listening to her try to like explain that concisely, I was like, I see where the disconnect is with everything. Like this sounds like fucking insane to anybody who doesn't know what's going on. And so the criticism of like, brevity and like conciseness of all the evidence that people have gathered over many, many moons, it's not digestible and it's not anything that somebody can like reasonably interpret or read or get through in, like a sit down kind of like, can I just get the gist of what's going on? Like that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And I've kind of come to the place where I think that it is true that like for the most part, everybody that's been doing like the kind of drama aspect of this, like the horse is dead. And it's kind of at this point where like if the people that are like legitimately involved, like, Raincloud or Snowflake or Melina or whatever want to do in real life shit outside of that, I think that for the most part, like everything else should just kind of like fall back, only because like there's nothing else anybody can really do as far as like coverage and like that kind of shit. I think that it's kind of run its course. And I just wanted to clarify that because I did have like the epiphany last night where I was like, holy shit, like we're, what are we doing, guys?
Yeah, that call went really badly, didn't it? So are you seeing diminishing returns then, or on your channel, or what? Because this is like what you've been covering almost exclusively for a little while now.
No, I didn't stream the conversation that I had last night. And I mean, I
don't blame you.
It's just it's just like the whole premise of it is like, I think the whole point that everybody was trying to get at was like, okay, it's just like people want to know, what's going on, generally speaking, whether it's like editorialized or like somebody reading the logs in a silly voice or whatever. And that was really the extent of my involvement. That's all I really give a shit about. Obviously I care if like there's people that are involved that are like getting sucked into this poppycule or whatever. Like I care about that, but there's reasonably only so much that I can do. I don't know these people in real life. I don't have any ties to this. I have never been personally victimized by Poppy Dye Bleak, so there's only so much that can be done from that perspective.
So
right?
I can be gloves off with you then. That's awesome.
Go ahead.
No,
do it.
So no, I don't need to. So when you were talking to on JStock and they asked you like what's your legal background and you said I don't talk about that. Like, the implication of that is that you have a legal background, right? Something worth protecting. That's kind of the obvious reason.
That's fine. There's nothing that can take away from the sense, essentially, that there is a picture. The first thing that
what's your legal background? What's your legal background?
Okay, this is the part that pertains to me. This is what I wanted to say quickly.
Well, President Sunday was saying it's a bad idea to share more information publicly, and you were arguing with that.
Oh, yeah, because there's nothing that Snowflake could say publicly short of, yes, I raped Poppy, in order for that to basically take away from her defamation, because we're not going to go to court. True. It is true. We're not going to go to court and get a court case that says Snowflake absolutely raped Poppy or Snowflake absolutely didn't rape Poppy. Short of that, there's nothing that can take away from the sense, essentially, that there is a picture. The first thing that
what's your legal background? What's your legal background?
I don't talk about any of that stuff on stream. It's not relevant.
The obvious reason.
That's fine if people want to interpret it that way. I'm not.
Do you have a legal background?
I'm not a lawyer, but I don't talk about like what I went to school for or anything like that on stream.
How would saying that you don't have a legal background hurt you if you don't have one?
I'm just saying that I don't talk about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but I'm asking for warrant. I'm asking why.
Because I don't want to. I don't like to cross those wires. I don't think it's relevant. I think that you can have an opinion on something without having to have a degree in that subject or like in real life, like legal training in something.
Well, I agree, but you were among equals in that respect. Nobody in that call had a legal degree. How would that disadvantage you?
It's not about an advantage or a disadvantage. That's just not something that I like to cross the wires on. I don't like to talk about it.
Really? So you don't talk about anything about your personal life on stream? You don't, for example, expose your face, which could identify you at a job, at a school, etc.?
It's not about identification. It's just not something that I think is important to talk about, where it's like, I have this background, I have that background. Like, I don't care about the credential dick waving.
Well, I think it's a little bit important if you're going to make a claim, for example, that you have a slam dunk legal case, because then it's...
Yeah, that's my opinion.
Well, true, but the question is, why do you have such confidence in your opinion? Do you have a legal background? Do you have education that the other parties to the call don't have that would give you, a degree of knowledge that other people wouldn't have?
I'm not saying I don't see that perspective. I'm just saying that's not something that I have ever cared about doing. Like, it's not about like protecting my identity or anything like that. I just don't like dick measure credentials on the
So
internet.
there is no reason. You're just this in particular. If somebody asks you, do you have a gardening background?
A gardening background?
Yeah.
I mean, I know what plants are.
Okay. Have you ever gardened?
I mean, do you understand the difference between like dick writing credentials versus like this is a hobby that I engage in?
But I don't think anybody was asking you to dick write credentials. I think people were asking. You seem to have an inordinate amount of confidence in your opinion on legal matters. You're telling people that you have a slam dunk case, or they have a slam dunk case.
I don't have any kind of case.
I know.
All I
they have a slam dunk.
In my opinion, I would say that this is a slam dunk case. Like if I was to look and say like, oh my God, I need an example of defamation. In my opinion, I would say this is a clear example of defamation. That's all it was.
Yeah. So in context, when you're saying I think they have a slam dunk case, I don't think they can do anything that would undermine their case or hurt their case or hurt their situation in any way from a legal point of view. And then somebody asks you, do you have a legal background? And you say, I don't talk about that. Can you see how that would be very generally perceived as you attempting to kind of weasel around it and sort of give the implication that maybe you do? Because the reverse, that you don't, would simply be answered by a no. If that was true, yes?
I have already said that I do understand that. That's just not the kind of shit that I like to talk about online. That's all.
You just like to mislead people into thinking that you might have legal credentials.
No, not at all. That's just not something.
But that's what you did. You just acknowledged that that's what will happen.
I said that's how you could see it. That's not my intention, and I'm being clear that that's not what I intended.
But you're doing something where you understand what the consequence of it will be for some people, yet you're doing it willingly anyways.
Yeah, I just don't talk about that kind of shit on stream. That's all it is.
Do you recognize that that's like universally going to be received as laughable, that you would simply not say no, I don't have a legal background, but you do?
I don't care. I don't have a horse in this race about anything.
Then why are you here? Why are we talking about this?
Because all I did was come to clarify that I have changed my position, that from the outside, this does look like mental illness to anybody trying to explain what's going on with Poppy in more than like 3 sentences, because it's not quite possible at this point. And that I think that like for the most part that everybody should just like let Snowflake and Melina and everybody else do like their own shit, you know, offline, online, however they choose to do it. I don't give a shit. And that I have never given anybody legal advice. I am not involved as nearly as much.
Well, if you tell somebody, if you argue in defense of someone's actions and you say that they have a slam dunk case, you are giving them legal advice.
I'm not giving them legal advice. I've never talked to these fucking people. If they watch my shit, they watch my shit. I can't control what impressions or what advice they take from me.
You don't
I
talk
tell
to these
people all the time not to smoke meth.
Were you not talking to these people for hours on stream yesterday?
No, I was on there for like maybe 20 minutes and I came on to explain why Poppy says that we have this beef over socialization arguments. We don't disagree. So I came on to clarify that. And then I was sitting in the voice chat for, I don't know, maybe a half an hour, muted for most of it because I was doing shit. And I would pop in and say like, that's stupid. And then like mute again.
I understand. The conversation went poorly. You saw that the winds are turning and now you're betraying them too. That's fine. I understand. I totally get it.
No, I just have never had a personal stake in any of this, and I've made that very clear. So I'm not quite sure where the
and yet you inserted yourself into it, humiliated that side multiple times, and now you're here to do it again, but this time just to jump out of a sinking ship.
No, not at all. I'm saying that I like saw the way that it sounded when it was trying to be explained concisely, and like reflecting on that, I'm like, okay, it makes sense now where the disconnect is. I understand where that disconnect is. And because of that, like, yeah, if they do some like dumb shit on stream, I'm still going to cover it, be like, haha, look at how dumb this is. But I don't have any personal investment in this. Insofar as that I just care that people are like aware that Poppy and Xena suck. That's really the length of my
This is an illustration. This is an illustration of my point. You are meat to these people. They are not your friends. Continue.
I've never claimed to be anybody's fucking friend, dude.
Case in point.
I don't know how that's a case in point. I've never claimed to be any of these people's friends.
It's okay.
Well, is that it? Is that all we got?
It's up to you. It's your dime. Well, their dime, I should say. They paid for drama. If the drama has short-lived, it is what it is.
Well, I mean, that's really all I wanted to jump in and clarify is that upon reflection, I'm like, okay, that makes a little more sense.
Before you go, can I give you some legal advice?
I'm actually good. Thank you, though.
Okay. If I were you, I would sue my voice for slander.
I'm good. Thank you.
Have a good day.
I'm good.